With us is WTOP's Mitchell Miller. Mitch, you were watching this hearing. This is huge. It passed the House already. It's now in the Senate, out of committee, going to a full floor vote, hoping to get passed by the end of the year.
That's right. And you heard the excitement there, the O that you heard in the background. That was actually the chairman of the committee, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who had been working on this with Steve Daines for a long time. So where does this go from here? Well, it has to go, as you mentioned, to the Senate floor. But the big question is it going to make it to the floor during the lame duck session? If it doesn't make it this year, then they essentially have to restart all over again in the new session of the 119th Congress. So supporters of bringing the team back to D.C. are really hoping that this will move it forward. It's a bipartisan piece of legislation. As you mentioned, it's already passed the House. The question is it going to get done in the next few weeks?
All right. So to be clear, if let's play hypotheticals here. If this does pass in the Senate before the end of the year, now D.C. can gain a lease of this land, which is federal property, and then potentially that would start the wooing process, if you will. We know Maryland wants to keep the Commanders. Virginia, with the loss there of the Potomac Yard project, probably, and they've got Ashburn, they've got the practice facility, also looking to do the same. I guess the bigger question here is financing. It comes down to the dollars. How much money does D.C. have to show to the Commanders, and how much money are the Commanders willing to put in out of their own pockets to come back to D.C.?
Right. Well, I think that's the big question. And really that price tag, it's really unknown at this point because there is so much involved with the new stadium. The district wants to actually redevelop that whole area and make it a huge economic engine. So we're just going to have to see. I think D.C., though, if they were actually to attract the team, they would come up with the money some way, somehow. And I think the new ownership of the Commanders would do so the same. However, you have Maryland saying, wait a second, hold on. The team has been in Landover for more than 25 years. We want to keep them. The Maryland congressional delegation, as well as Governor Wes Moore today, indicating that they are going to fight this. Usually Maryland's congressional delegation is behind D.C., but in this case, it's a regional conflict, so it's a little battle in the neighborhood here.
Yeah, and we have seen D.C.'s mayor find some unsuspecting allies in the Congress with some Republican senators and congresspeople that will support her in bringing it to D.C. So what's next now? Is it coming up with the economic package to sell and to show to the Commanders so they can make a decision if this does pass?
If it does pass, that will be the next step. And then the Commanders will have to say, OK, well, we're in a pretty good position here because we know that D.C. and Maryland both want to keep us. And, you know, the new ownership, he's a sharp businessman. He's going to try to get everything he can from both entities, whether it's the district or Maryland. I'm really curious, though, what is going to happen in these next few weeks? Is it actually going to pass in the U.S. Senate? Because if it doesn't, then we potentially go back to square one. But this is certainly a big play for D.C., a Hail Mary, if you will. Yeah. It landed in the end zone. And right now, at least for today, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and supporters of a new stadium, as well as bringing back the team to the district, very happy. Yeah, certainly celebrating a W. Mitch, we've got about 10 seconds here. How quickly or how soon could we see this on the Senate floor? Well, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They take a break over Thanksgiving, and then they've got to figure out a way to avoid a government shutdown. So they have a lot on their plate. It's going to be interesting to see if this one slides in. All right, we'll wait and see. Certainly would be a huge W, of course, for the Washington football team, now the Commanders, and also the Washington football team. So it only makes sense they come back to D.C. We'll wait and see what happened. Mitch Miller with WTOP. We appreciate you coming on the DMV Zone and giving us the latest.